Hello, children. This is a collection of books called Harry Maclary. 5 Linley Dodd stories. First, we'll read the first one. Out of the gate and off for a walk went Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Let me take this cover off. That will make it easier to hold. And Hercules Morse as big as a horse, with Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Bottomly pots covered in spots, Hercules Morse as big as a horse, and Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Muffin McLay like a bundle of hay, bottomly pots covered in spots, Hercules Morse as big as a horse, and Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Bitzer Maloney, all skinny and bony, Muffin McLay like a bundle of hay, bottomly pots covered in spots, Hercules Morse as big as a horse, and Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Schnitzel von Krumm with a very low tum, Bitzer Maloney, all skinny and bony, Muffin McLay like a bundle of hay, bottomly pots covered in spots, Hercules Morse as big as a horse, and Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. With tails in the air they trotted on down past the shops in the park to the far end of town. They sniffed at the smells and they snooped at each door, when suddenly out of the shadows they saw Scarface Clar, the toughest Tom in town. Yow, said Scarface Claw. Off with a yowl, a wail, and a howl, a scatter of paws and a clatter of claws, went Schnitzel von Krumm with a very low tum, Bitzer Maloney, all skinny and bony, Muffin McLay like a bundle of hay, bottomly pots covered in spots, Hercules Morse as big as a horse, and Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Straight back home to bed. This is called Harry Maclary's Bone. Down in the town by the butcher shop door sat Harry Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. Out of the door came Samuel Stone, who gave Harry Maclary his tastiest bone. Then off up the street on scurrying feet, on his way to the dairy, went Harry Maclary. And chasing them home with their eyes on the bone, went Hercules Morse, bottomly pots, Muffin McLay, Bitzer Maloney, and Schnitzel von Krumm with the very low tum. Hungrily sniffing and licking their chops, they followed him up past the school and the shops. They came to the sign selling Sutherland sauce. Through they all went, except Hercules Morse. Source and Morse. See, in New Zealand those rhyme. They came to a hedge along Waterloo Way. Under they went, except Muffin McLay. They came to a yard full of dinghies and yachts. Round they all went, except for bottomly pots. They came to a building site cluttered and stony. Over they went. Except for Bits or Maloney. They came to a wall by the house of Miss Plum. One of them jumped, but not Schnitzel von Krumm. So at last he was free to go home on his own, Harry Maclary with all of his bone. Harry Maclary, Scattercat. Harry Maclary felt bumptious and bustly, bossy and bouncy and frisky and hustly. He wanted to run, he wanted to race, but the main thing he wanted was something to chase. Greywhack Jones was hunting a bee, but along came Harry Maclary and chased her high up in the sycamore tree. Butterball Brown was washing a paw, but along came Harry Maclary and bustled him under a rickety door. Pimpernel Pugh was patting a ball, but along came Harry Maclary and chased her away over Pemberton's wall. Slinky Malinky was down in the reeds, but along came Harry Maclary and hustled him into a drum full of weeds. Mushroom McGee was asleep on a ledge, but along came Harry Maclary and chased her away through a hole in the hedge. Down on the path by an old wooden rail, twitching a bit, was the tip of a tail. With a bellicose bark and a boisterous bounce, Harry Maclary was ready to pounce. But around came Scarface Claw. Who bothered and bustled him, rustled and hustled him, raced him and chased him all the way home. This one's called Caterwall Caper. With a titch of his tail and a purposeful paw, down by the river crept Scarface Claw. He woke up a lizard, he startled a bee, and he bothered a blackbird high in a tree. Higher and higher he sneakily snuck, but up in the branches he suddenly stuck. "Row, row, row, row," he yowled. Harry Maclary was eating his meal, jelly meat biscuits, a snippet of veal. All of a sudden he heard a strange sound, a yowling, a wailing that echoed around. "Row, row, 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 row." "Yep, yep, yep," said Harry Maclary, and off he went. Hercules Morse was asleep in a glade with his tail in the sun and his head in the shade. Then came the sound that echoed around. "Row, row, 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 row." "Woof," said Hercules Morse, and off he went. Bottomley Potts was rolling about with his feet in the air and his tongue hanging out. Then came the sound that echoed around. "Row, row, 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 row." "Row, row, 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 row," said Bottomley Potts, and off he went. Muffin Maclay was having a bath in the old wooden tub at the side of the path. Then came the sound that echoed around. Ruff, ruff, said Muffin Maclay, and off he went. Bitzer Maloney was having a scratch as he lay in the sun in the strawberry patch. Then came the sound that echoed around. Bow wow wow wow, said Bitzer Maloney, and off he went. Bow wow 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 wow. Schnitzel von Krumm was digging a hole in his favorite spot by the passion fruit pole. Then came the sound that echoed around. Yip yip, said Schnitzel von Krumm, and off he went. Puffing and panting, impatient to see, together they came to the foot of the tree. They sniffed and they snuffled, they bustled around, and they saw what was making the terrible sound. Yip yip, said Schnitzel von Krumm. Bow wow wow, said Bitzer Maloney. Ruff ruff, said Muffin Maclay. Rur 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 rur, said Bottomley Potts. Woof, said Hercules Morse. Yap, 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 said Harry Maclary. And said Scarface Claw. The din was so awful that uphill and down you could hear the cacophony all over town. You could hear the cacophony all over town. I like that rhythm better. Miss Plum brought a ladder and climbed up the tree. She rescued old Scarface. At last he was free. With a flick of his tail and a shake of each paw, off at a gallop went Scarface Claw. And back to their business in Donaldson's dairy went all of the others with Harry Maclary. Rumpus at the vet. Down at the vet's there were all kinds of pets, with troubles and woes from their ears to their toes. Sniffles and snuffles and doses of flu, itches and stitches and tummy ache too. So many animals watchful and wary, and Harry Maclary from Donaldson's dairy. There were miserable dogs, cantankerous cats, a rabbit with pimples, and rickety rats. Mice with the sneezes, a goat in a rage, and Cassie the cockatoo locked in her cage. Cassie had claws and a troublesome beak. She saw something twitch, so she gave it a tweak. She pulled it so hard that she plucked out a hair, and Harry Maclary jumped high in the air. A bowl full of mice was bundled about. Over it went, and the mice tumbled out. 4 fussy budgies with Grandma Goff flew out of their cage when the bottom dropped off. Grizzly McDuff with a bottle brush tail leaped out of his basket and over the rail. The Papadum kittens from Parkinson Place squeezed through an opening and joined in the chase. Oh, it's getting wild. Barnacle Beasley forgot he was sore. He bumbled and clattered all over the floor. Then Custard the Labrador, Muffin Maclay, and Noodle the Poodle decided to play. They skittered and scampered, they slid all around, and bottles and boxes came tumbling down. What a kerfuffle, a scramble of paws, a tangle of bodies, a jumble of jaws. With squawking and yowling and mournful meow, they really were making a terrible row. Out came the vet. "I'll fix them," she said, but she tripped on a lead and fell over instead. Geezer the goat crashed into a cage. He butted the bars in a thundering rage. Cassie got mad. She rattled her beak. She saw something twitch, so she gave it a tweak. Oh no, not again. Alright, that's a good one from New Zealand. Some great books about Harry Maclary. I love you guys. I'll see you later.